Today's session is one in a series of web-based Sales Management Association presentations that feature practitioners and thought leaders in the field of sales force effectiveness. The Sales Management Association is a professional association for sales operations and sales management professions. We provide our members with research, case studies, peer networking, and professional development. If you're joining us for the first time, we encourage you to consider membership in the association and also to visit us online. You can find us at salesmanagement.org. I'm Bob Kelly, Sales Management Association Chairman. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Lisa Wickelman, and then following her prepared comments, I will moderate discussion. Lisa, thanks for being with us. Let me briefly introduce you before you officially say hello. Lisa Wickelman is a partner in the financial services practice at Business Efficacy, a management consultancy focused on sales performance, sales management, and executive coaching, as well as customized sales and sales management training. Lisa helps shape and execute the company's growth strategy in addition to serving clients. She has more than 20 years experience in sales management consulting, training, and coaching for senior sales leaders and sales teams in multiple industries with extensive experience in the financial services industry. So Lisa, as always, thank you for being with us. It's great to have you with us. Welcome.
Thank you, Bob. It is a pleasure to be here today, and thanks to all of you who took some time this afternoon to join our session.
We are 7 months into this harsh reality, and it's taken a toll. If you're like most sales leaders we talk to, you can't afford to have your people feeling demotivated and in a slump. And we all know that most salespeople thrive on being with others, meeting with customers and prospects, brainstorming with partners on deals, precisely the things that many of them are unable to do in person these days. Take this guy. He's making an effort, as you can see on his computer, but his mind is saying, if only I could. I suspect that many salespeople can relate to him because now so many of us are also dealing with this. For many of us, back to school has taken on an entirely new level of complexity and coordination. And we're sharing our home office space with our furry friends too, in many cases. Especially in the past month or so, I've seen multiple cats walking past the camera, across the keyboard, and dogs seen or heard barking in the background. Fortunately, we're all in this together and are understanding. But I know for myself, there's certainly a heightened level of tension and anxiety before heading into an important call, even like this one, when I know I have a young child and animals on the other side of the wall. How is all of this showing up in your salespeople's performance? Well, if you've been following Business Efficacy during the pandemic, we've been calling attention to 3 performance inhibitors that sales managers must be mindful of. When a sales manager considers why a salesperson isn't doing what needs to be done, these can serve as a helpful thought process for some diagnosis. Is it because he doesn't know he's supposed to? Maybe a bit of confusion. Or is it because she doesn't know how to do what it is you're asking her to do? She's feeling challenged. Or maybe he really doesn't want to do what needs to be done and he's feeling really uncomfortable about it. It can be very motivating to your people when you clear these things up. Now, for the manager, it's the manager's job to be done to help their salespeople move through these inhibitors, but they too are overwhelmed. Management's response is typically disjointed, especially in challenging times when under pressure or stress. Managers gravitate toward their comfort zone. Your bias may be to double down on the manage aspect of your role, like tightening up the goals, inspecting what you expect, tracking and holding people accountable. Or your bias may be to double down on the coach aspect of your role. Jump in and teach them how to do or improve a critical skill, get them some extra training or skill development, coach them more closely or more frequently. Or you may lean toward lead, where you place an emphasis on encouraging them, motivating them, keeping the vision alive, the what's in it for me, and keeping the why in front of them. These are all important, but it's key to recognize that the one you're most comfortable with may not be the right or best approach for helping your salesperson get back on track. The most effective sales managers deliberately tap into all three. These show up as the things that a manager does to help focus, develop, and motivate your salespeople. Tapping into all three can be very motivating. So we'll be exploring each of these and applying them to virtual selling and work from home. Let's tackle the first one, focus. Unfortunately, at this stage in the pandemic, we continue to see a tremendous lack of focus. What am I supposed to do? What is most important for me to be paying attention to these days? And that gets fuzzier when you add in the constant changes around decisions companies are making about when people can go back to the office or not. So what to do? Well, management must decide what matters most right now, especially with a short-term view, like over the next 1 to 3 months. What you really need your salespeople doing that you know will make a significant impact if they're focused on it. Clarity around focus can be very motivating. To enable focus on what matters most, an important step is to help the salesperson be willing to do the new expectations. Here's a roadmap for that. First, confirm. What are the behaviors that are expected? What am I supposed to do? Second, examine. How does that compare to what I'm doing now? How are the behaviors I'm doing now similar or different than this new expectation you have of me? And then third, commitment. Gain their agreement on what behaviors are to be done moving forward, and especially to cover, what's in it for me, what's in it for that salesperson. And here's a critical execution note around these 3 steps. Managers need to cover these steps individually with a salesperson. Doing this in a team meeting won't have enough impact, and it's a common mistake that we see managers making. Let's take an example. Example of selling virtually, because you can't go back to business as usual from a field sales calling perspective. First one, confirm. So let's say the new expectation as a part of virtual selling is specifically you want your folks to turn on their camera. Even if the other party doesn't, you want them to turn on their camera. So second, you need to examine, how is that similar to current expectations? Well, they still have call prep, and you still expect them to have a professionally conducted conversation, similar to if they were meeting in person. Well, what's different? Well, the camera's on, and the prep needs to be different because you can't hand them sales materials or documents. Also, the rapport building that a lot of sales people typically rely on when they get to a meeting early, some schmoozing, and also the post-meeting, perhaps those conversations in the hallway after the meeting wraps up. Those will be different because you're not there. Third step, commit. So gain their agreement on those similar things to continue, like the call prep, the professionally conducted conversation, and gain their commitment on what you expect to be done differently, such as turn on the camera or log in 10 minutes early so you have the opportunity to rapport build with anyone else who joins early. And also, be the last one to leave the meeting in case others stay on so you can chat. And then also as a part of commit, you want to make sure to discuss why do you, the manager, believe it matters, not because the company said so, but why you believe it matters. And lastly, of course, get their commitment and action plan on how they'll begin to implement the change you expect. Relative to focus, here are the things we know don't work and do work. And we know this from our ongoing conversation since the beginning of the pandemic with over 250 sales managers and sales leaders. What doesn't work is when you're continuously changing your expectations and you're not solidifying on that. Also assuming buy-in and just assuming that everyone is bought in and ignoring the confusion or the barriers. What does work is focusing on those critical few behaviors, prioritizing those that you know are going to make a difference, stating the expectations in an individualized way and not communicating this across the group or the entire team. And then when you're working with them individually on the expectations, work jointly to build their progression plan on how they're going to work through the change. Next, let's look at addressing resistance and discomfort as a way to motivate your people. Here you see a manager and her salesperson having a virtual one-on-one to discuss what needs to be done in Q4 to keep business moving along. Let's take a peek into her head. She's feeling that virtual selling is not going to be as effective. So she's having some doubt and maybe a lack of confidence in her ability to be as effective virtually as she was in person. And she's also feeling like she can't be as productive at home because she has to oversee remote learning for her kids. So a feeling a bit of, I don't have a choice and I can't be as productive. Feeling a bit of really discomfort that this is not even possible for me to prospect for new logos during the pandemic. And finally, she's doubting her ability to be as creative or motivated when she can't be in the office and she's stuck to keep working from home, perhaps here at her kitchen table. So what to do? If you're trying to drive specific behaviors, you need to realize they're strongly influenced by feelings, and those are shaped by beliefs the salesperson is carrying with him or her as mindset. Especially in challenging times, effective sales leaders must recognize this. I'll share a story of how one of our clients tackled this head on. So it was late summer. The company had just announced they would not be returning people to work from the office until probably January. And it really was a blow to the salespeople. In the work from home situation with kids going back to school, some virtual, some hybrid, perhaps on campus, obviously a greater complexity for working parents to address. And the inside sales team here really spoke up very much and said, we cannot be as productive. Now, management was tempted to avoid the issue or jump to some quick fixes at the surface level, but instead, we guided the managers to have individual conversations to simply ask, what makes you think you can't be as productive? And what are the top 2 things you feel are going to be holding you back, that are holding you back? And what surfaced was, things like, well, my kids are at home all or partial day, no quiet place to work in my home, too many distractions. And the cool part is, the way this questioning was raised, what makes you think you can't be as productive? It provided the venue for the salesperson to bring those things up instead of the manager asking about their work from home situation directly. So the sales reps went into this feeling like they had no choice and no options, but as a part of this exchange, their managers were providing a venue to help them surface their feelings. And then the result was some creative, individualized solutions they came up with together, such as shifting work hours to other times of the day when the kids aren't needing supervision with schoolwork. And the reps now felt that they did have options and they were feeling quite motivated. So what doesn't work in motivating through resistance and discomfort? Here's what we know. When you avoid the uncomfortable conversations, bad news, and you're ignoring the individual challenges your folks are having, and when you try to express encouragement in a very general or broad brush sort of way. What is working on the right? Really working together to explore what is possible. How can we work through this? And then showing some evidence of success from what you've seen or what you've heard in other parts of the organization, perhaps. And then this is a biggie at the bottom right, modeling commitment. Really letting your people know that you're in this with them, and as much as you can, role modeling, demonstrating through your own behavior your commitment. Our last area we'll tackle is considering how the managers motivate through developing and coaching their salespeople. And this is all about maximizing the manager's impact. And it requires the manager to dig deeper when they develop and coach their salespeople. We find that many sales managers are staying way too surface level, way too general, too focused on what's already happened. And we just got done talking about what's needed to focus people and to be really clear. And that's important. But even that is just below the surface. If you look in the image here, just below the surface, what's supposed to happen, the focus. You need to go even deeper. Think about all the opportunities you have to interact with your direct reports, whether that's salespeople or sales managers if you're a manager of managers. These are some typical examples of interactions that you see here on the slide. The dark blue boxes align with the different levels of depth. These are manager interactions that provide an opportunity to go deeper. Consider how can you maximize all these opportunities that you have today to really add value. Be more intentional and deliberate when you have these. And please don't look at this only as interactions between the frontline sales manager and the salesperson. If you're a manager of managers, you have opportunities in your one-on-ones with the managers who report to you. And looking a level deeper, you can pre-plan with one of your sales managers as he or she is preparing and planning for a one-on-one with their salesperson. And then you can go even deeper by observing that one-on-one taking place to provide feedback afterwards. This is an important best practice that's so often not done by managers of managers. Relative to motivation by adding value and maximizing manager impact when developing and coaching your salespeople. What doesn't work and what doesn't work is inspection. You're only looking at the numbers, the outcomes, the results. Also, an overemphasis on opportunity or deal coaching as the main thing, and diagnosis via the dashboard only. Again, inspection, only really looking at the numbers. Things that do work, measures of progress, and really looking at the appropriate progress measures as a part of inspecting those new expectations that you put out there, and then definitely giving feedback on the execution of those new expectations, even those little bits of progress along the way that the salespeople are doing and are achieving. Now, as a thank you for our time today, I'm right at my end here. I'd like to offer an opportunity to go even deeper into any of these three fundamentals. So Business Efficacy is offering to the Sales Management Association audience a free 15-minute webcast live with you and your colleagues on any of those three. So just contact us at the info at the bottom of the slide here. And also there's an opportunity for you to participate in Ignite Sales Leaders, which is the newest in our suite of bootcamp experiences, developed specifically to address the challenges sales teams are facing during the pandemic. And most of the time these are private, but we do have a public one starting November 20th. And these are three-hour virtual sessions that are spaced 30 days apart, and they're delivered live by us. So November, December, January will be covered, and this will carry you into a very strong start to 2021. Send us a note or check it out on our website if you'd like to find out more, and hopefully you can join us for the November 20th beginning of the Ignite Sales Leaders Bootcamp. Thanks again, everyone, for joining today. And Bob, I'll turn it back over to you.
I want to thank you again, Lisa Wickelman, for a great presentation. Thank you for being with us today. It was so nice to have you present to our audience. Sorry, let me put you back there. So thank you. We hope to have you back again very soon.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
I'm Bob Kelly, Sales Management Association Chairman. Thanks again for your time and attention today. Goodbye until next time.